We currently have the best deal of the year live now on CFBcom. If you use code FLASH, capital F, you get $65 off the annual plan, or if you use code FLASH 2025, capital F, you get $6 off the monthly plan. You unlock exclusive spreadsheets, in-depth info, and our members-only Discord. Come join thousands of other members in the fastest growing and best CFB Dynasty community out there. Don't miss out. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Puddle back with another CFB 26 video, and in today's video, I'll be showing you guys how you've been recruiting wrong in Dynasty mode. And guys, if you want to join the fastest growing and best CFB community out there, come check out CFB.com, guys. The world of CFB, everything you need to know, you didn't know you need to know, every stat, data, statistic, tool, everything you need to dominate your Dynasty is over there, over on tablet, phone, website, whatever you so choose. Make sure to check it out, guys. It is the best place. Come join thousands of members like yourself, get access to all of our latest tools, our data lab, and everything else in that Discord. Honestly, at this point, a lot of guys in your league may already be members, so if you're not a member, you're probably at a disadvantage, so come check it out. If you use code FLASH, capital F, you get $65 off the annual plan. If you use code FLASH 2025, capital F, you do get $7 off the monthly plan. So make sure to check it out. This is a lifetime recurring discount, so for your lifetime over on CFB.com, you will retain the discount. So as long as you're a member, you get to keep it. So lock yourself in now. It's one of the best deals of the year. And don't forget, the first few people to DM me over on Twitter saying Dynasty will get a special rate that you get just for yourself to sign up as well. So check it out. Let's get into it. Guys, there's a few different ways to approach the way you scout and the way you recruit in this game. But one specific setting and two specific outlooks are how I approach recruiting for me in every single league I'm in. So the first thing you're going to want to do is establish what your league settings are for how you're going to recruit in your specific league. One of the most important things to me is going to be A, this progression penalty, but two, really if it's on or off in general, because I feel like a lot of leagues are kind of swinging one way or the other. They either turned it on or they turned it off. As long as it's below like 35 to 40%, I'm cool with it. But remember, if it's on 100%, you want auto progression on. If it's not 100% and it's user choice and it's below like 35-40%, you want it off. So if if your league allows manual progression and you choose to opt into that, I'm gonna be going over the recruiting strategy for that, as well as if it's auto only, because two real big things change here when you're in an auto recruiting versus a manual recruiting league. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna be putting this into two buckets, whether you guys are an auto recruiter or a manual recruiter, and stay tuned to kind of see the benefits of both. Now, 99% of the time, auto recruiting is more advantageous from a player growth perspective. That does not mean it's the best way to go about it, because even though you're going to get less skill points at a 25% penalty, you can manually put it where you want it and your player probably ends up being better. So if your league is auto only, you will get more skill points as a whole. You just won't be able to allocate them. So what I'm going to do here for you is show you how to recruit properly to maximize your auto recruiting and also how to maximize your manual recruiting. So let's head over to our board and show you guys a few things that I'm going to be doing. And let's stick with a few position groups here. So I'm going to go to first, let's start with quarterback. Let's grab a few quarterbacks for our board. Let's put on a lurker quarterback. That's interesting. Here we go. Let's put on a few guys. Just we have a pocket passer. We have a dual threat. And let's see if we have a backfield creator, but a dual threat's fine. So let's stick here. Let's start with these two quarterbacks. Also, this applies for scouting too. I'm going to avoid overall scouting tips a bit here, but I'm going to be showing you once you get to your scouting point what to do. So let's talk about why these two quarterbacks are viewed very, very differently if you're an auto versus manual recruiting league. So as you guys know, if you didn't already, watch my best archetype video. Over on CFB.com, we did break down the fastest archetypes using data, using science, breaking down which ones upgrade the quickest on their own. Also ones that just cost less to spend on, skill point wise. So when I'm personally in auto progression, and I'm in an auto progression league, just like CFB 25, I'm adopting that mentality of I need the most efficient path to the top. Because not only will you be accruing more skill points than other people, let's say the penalties on 35-45% and people are going manual. If you go auto in this sense, and you go the most efficient route archetype wise, not only will you hit at the ceiling the quickest, but you'll also outpace those manual people pretty easily. Now, if you're in a manual league, you're focusing on a few other things. So I'm going to start with just the archetype difference, and I'm going to go into a few more other things. So first and foremost, James Huddle, pocket passer QB. As it stands, let's scout him. Let's see what we're looking like with this guy. That's what he looks like as a fully, those are his caps. There we go. So he's a 92 throw power, 83 speed dual threat, or we can go for the 93 throw power, 79 speed. So now dual threat will get some more running abilities and be a little bit faster. Pocket passer will throw a little bit better and be a little bit slower. So historically, for me as a player, I lean the running guy. However, let's focus on a few things. Remember, based on our archetype video and the math that we did, pocket passers organically grow the quickest of all quarterbacks. Now, Juan Merchant grows the second quickest, but not really because he's tied for last. So backfield creator, dual threats, and pure runners all grow slower than pocket passers organically. Now, if you're in a manual progression league, I don't necessarily care that much about the discrepancy here, because remember, that's if they were to upgrade everything in the way they do it. So remember, when you're doing auto versus manual, and I'm going to take you guys over to my roster later in the video to show you guys what I mean by this, but when you're doing manual progression, you can just ignore the IQ or the health or the things you don't want to upgrade. While if you're doing auto, the game will automatically upgrade the cheapest thing. So you technically want the cheapest route to the top, because for you to actually ever upgrade speed or throw power or things that you really care about, your quarterback's going to have to max out everything else first. Versus a manual progression league, I can go Juan Merchant and start with the higher speed, because then I can just go and manually upgrade my throw power and accuracy. When you're in auto progression league, you're not exactly doing that. So that's the first thing to consider when recruiting now, is based on the way your league is, I'm going to go a certain way. So if I'm in an auto league, I'm leaning, based on my archetype video and based on our CFBcom spreadsheets, I'm leaning to go in the route of least resistance. How can I assemble a roster of maximized efficient guys who can grow the quickest, especially based on the penalty? If I'm in a manual league, I'm very heavily trying to cherry pick like what I like, because I know I can make it work. You can also do a hybrid approach to that. Let's say you're a pocket passer. That's awesome. You can go the pocket passer route and then manually upgrade your speed, or manually upgrade your accuracy or throw power and your ability to do it yourself. You can still go that route, but first and foremost, always take archetype into consideration, especially if you're following the coaching bill with the talent developer and everything else you need. Take that into consideration. The next thing that I'm going to be focusing on here is going to be the things you can't touch. So let's talk about this. There's going to be some prospects who are wildly different in terms of things that you can't touch. So let's find a running wide receiver, for instance. Let's see what we can find here. There's going to be quite a few options here, but let's say this. This guy's a 6'3" speedster. And now let's find a gadget receiver. Let's see how far I have to go down for this. A gadget receiver. He's 6'3", but let's find another option here. You know what? This is fine. So when looking at these two players, you want to be focusing heavily on your own personal preference first and foremost when it comes to manual upgrading. So when manually upgrading, you can fix whatever's wrong with the guy. So let's say this guy had a 96 speed, 97 speed as a speedster, and you know that for sure you cannot play this game without a 97 speed plus receiver. Like, you love to stretch the field, you like to do those quick drags, you like to do trick plays, you know you need that speed receiver. So for me, you have to have this guy over this one per se. And that's where it's like, okay, well, maybe he's fast, but his route running is trash. That's fine. I'm in a manual league. I'll fix the other stuff. I'll fix this and that. That's fine. So in a manual league, I'm very focused on those key things, like 6'3" height and taller, the weight, the speed. In a manual league, you can almost like cherry pick like DK Metcalf builds and player builds that are just crazy, like super tall receivers. You can focus on things that are like you can't change, because then you can manually go in and just give him more speed, give him more route running. You can take a huge tight end and manually upgrade his speed later. Now in an auto league, you don't have the luxury to fix those other things, because they're going to be upgrading what comes first in their respective build. So that takes us back to the quarterback debate of, you know what, this field general is a tad slower, but I'll just manually upgrade his speed up to an 83, and now I can just have my pocket passer who grows quicker and the speed. But if you're in an auto league, he's not going to upgrade that speed probably ever, if at all. So that's your speed for life with this recruit. So you have to, like, when you're in an auto league, you kind of have to accept things off rip. Like, this is how the player is going to probably be for a while. Similar to last year with scrambling quarterbacks, they upgraded their accuracy last. So you understood when you took a scrambler, their running will go up, their other stuff will go up, their IQ, their health. They weren't upgrading their speed again, by the way, their speed or their power again. So basically, the quarterback you got day one was kind of the quarterback you had all year. Their accuracy barely ever went up. Their deep accuracy was never viable. So this is something that applies to wide receivers. So you need to be, and this applies for a lot of position groups, understanding, and when you recruit an auto league, that you're not just recruiting for ceiling, but you're recruiting for floor. Like, you know, if you take a 92 speed, like you take this speedster here, he's a 5-star. In a manual league, you could say at 92 speed, I'll upgrade that right away. I'll get it up. He's a 5-star. I need him. In an auto league, his speed may not be upgraded for 2-3 seasons until you get his route running up. So now you end up with the speedsters and 92 speed, and he's a waste. And in that case, gadget would have been way better, because he's close. This guy's close enough and he upgrades better. So you have to factor in a few things when recruiting, coming down to what are your deal breakers with players, but understanding things. So for me, typically in a manual league, I can cherry pick things I want, like a high speed or I'll settle for a low speed. You can make a lot more decisions. I'll settle for a lower throw power pocket passer because he had high speed. I'll just upgrade the throw power later. I'll settle for a 6'6" wide receiver who has really bad route running and abilities because I can upgrade that myself. You have to be able to settle in auto leagues to understand that you may be stuck with a few things. So recruit knowing that. So for me, knowing that I could be stuck with this guy's speed, this could be a bust speedster right here. This guy actually looks a lot better for a few reasons in an auto league. He has the floor that I want of speed, at least the 91 speed. And that's why last year we recruited for floor a lot of the time. What are your minimums? He needs this, and that. 91 speed. He's the quickest growing archetype, and he's well-rounded, and he's a green gem. For me, this would be the go-to in an auto league. Now, in a manual league, I may lean this guy, again, if he was higher speed. We happen to have one of these slowest speedsters that you can find. But in a manual league, I would probably be leaning the 6'3" speedster because he has so much ceiling potential, especially if I could have found a little bit faster one with a high ceiling, high tall, like 6'3" tall or 6'4", 6'5" type guy. That's where I lean on the wide receiver front. And this applies for so many position groups. For instance, you could just recruit all the fastest growing archetype like linemen. That's where I lean, because in a manual league, you can actually go ahead and you can start to do it in a way that you make your line all zone, all power. In an auto league, they're going to go in their own directions. So rather than overemphasize or overstress who you bring in, just bring in the best ceiling guy, the guy who can grow the quickest based on our video, which is basically the well-rounded offensive lineman grow the quickest by a large margin, similar to the gadget receivers. While in a manual league, I may be going for the tall, fast, athletic guards and centers, and then manually, and tackles, and then manually upgrading what I want from them, whether it's zone blocking or power blocking, something you can't do. And this is a big thing that I feel like people haven't really factored in, is how that setting changes everything about the way you recruit and understanding it. Like a pure runner. If you're in a pure runner league, remember, we talked about pure runners, how they're great, but they're never going to pass well. Now, we did show you guys how you can move a pure runner to like free safety and back and break his throw power and accuracy caps and then upgrade it. But remember, if you're in a league that A, doesn't allow position changes, or turns off manual progression, you can't manually fill out his caps first and then flip him, which is the ideal strategy, and then upgrade his abilities again. So you run into a situation where you have to kind of settle for what you're going to get. And this applies to every single position. I mean, we can go through the list here and just talk about like an outside linebacker. If you find a great edge rusher, great abilities, great power rush, and he has a 76 speed, you're like, that's fine, I can upgrade him. But if you're in an auto league, you may be saying, speed's so expensive. They're just never going to upgrade their speed until the very end. I can't have a 76 overall, a 76 speed pass rusher. I'd rather take the 82 guy with lower stats because I know he'll upgrade that. Remember, in an auto league, they upgrade their quickest buckets. So this is where I'm going to take you to the roster to show you this. They always upgrade their quickest buckets in auto league for the most part. So you have to know what they're actually going to upgrade when you see a recruit. So let's go look at one of our outside linebackers here. Let's look at one of our edge players like Peyton. Peyton's a player where he's already an 88 overall, but you'll get the sense. His finesse move, his power move is a 5. His quickness is a 13. So like I told you, if you brought in a 76 speed edge, and this doesn't mean that he's going to upgrade quicker because that may be close to his cap rating. Let's say you brought in a 76 speed edge rusher. You have to now realize that may be 13 skill points. While his power move, so you may be bringing in this guy who's 76 speed and 86 power move. You're like, that's great. 86 is almost a 90. I like that threshold. I'm going to go upgrade to speed. If you're in an auto league, just so you guys know, they're going to be upgrading their power move, their finesse move, their run stopping, and their IQ for the first 3 to 4 seasons. And you'll be lucky if you get one speed upgrade his senior year. Lucky. So you basically locked yourself into a 76 speed edge. Meanwhile, a guy like Peyton, if I had manual on, I could be like, you know what? He's a 94 finesse move. I'm going to hoard all my points, and I'm going to go all in on getting this up to a 90 speed. That's not something you do in an auto league. So throw power, speed, hit power, jumping, things like that, height, weight, things that don't relatively change, at least easily. Even if weight goes up a few pounds, if you have a running back who's 172 and you want to play with a running back who's 230, you're not gaining that weight difference. So just understand when you're recruiting to understand what your floors and ceilings are with each player while utilizing it. So your settings, I've been telling this, the first thing you do when you join a dynasty is check out these settings. You have to know what they are. You need to know what you're doing with them. And then, of course, if you capitalize on knowing what I just told you in this video, plus what the best archetypes are, it's very easy. So in an auto league, I'm very heavily sticking to best archetypes for growth. Because at least if they're going to upgrade their cheapest stuff quick, at least they're the quickest growing one. So these gadget will do that, but they'll upgrade all their cheap stuff first. But they're so cheap to upgrade because they're gadget and they're the fastest strong archetype that they'll get to speed at least by junior year versus their senior year, which helps. That's my personal take on it. Now, of course, it comes down to your personal take too. Maybe you don't play with below 95 throw power, so find your 95 throw power guy and you'll figure out the rest later. Take that all into account while doing this. Remember, I always say my information, my advice, 95% accurate. because the extra 5% is personal preference and your own spin on things. It's so important to always get your own spin on everything I say, just slightly, because everyone's different. I can make a great video about recruiting packages, but you don't run the ball at all, so you don't care to recruit running back, so just cut that out and add my points somewhere else based on something else I said. That's my general advice with that. Hope this helped you guys like understand my thought process behind recruiting and how you kind of recruiting wrong if you're still having that manual mode mindset, or if you're in a manual league and you're still recruiting like you were in CFB 25. That's going to hurt you, because now you can do things so differently. You can flip-flop, you can grow things, you can bring in, like I showed you in my other video last week, you can bring in a safety and switch him over to cornerback so that his catching is on a fast bucket, upgraded a few tiers, bring him back to safety. Now he's a 99 catch rating, and now you have a maxed out hands rating for half the cost, and you upgraded zone there, or you moved a tight end to wide receiver, upgraded his route running there where it was 1 point, brought him back to tight end, and now he has less caps, and he can go up higher because you spent it at a lower margin. Manual changes everything. If you're auto, you're kind of taking last year's approach with a few differences in there. But guys, about it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. If you want to be a part of these conversations where we test all this, more in-depth information, more write-ups for you to just go through and read instead of hearing me talk all the time, and just going through things and understanding it on your own time. The guide will be out soon. All of our tools have dropped, and we're still introducing more tools every other week or so, sometimes every week. Come join CFB.com. Code FLASH, capital F, gets you $65 off the annual plan. Code FLASH 2025, capital F, gets you $7 off the monthly plan. Best deal of the year to date. Make sure to lock it in. It is a grandfather deal, so if you lock yourself in now for as long as you want to be a part of the website and a part of the Discord, you're locked in, guys. Come join over 1,000 active members. You won't want to miss this. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out. Peace.